PTR Tool Time, your industry podcast, tools, reviews, and stories. Welcome to another episode of PDR Tool Time. This is episode 162. Tonight is being brought to you by CBD Direct Oils.
Magnetic, man.
There we go. It's out there. Mobile Tech RX, Hog Glue, and Hog Tabs.
Yeah, we want to thank our sponsors, man. They support us and make this thing happen for all you guys, so you guys can get all this great information for free.
That's right. And
So, John,
I'm your host, John. I'm alongside Daniel Grom, and we've got super special co-host, Mr. Gene Fetty. But before we get into that, we need to send a little bit of love out to our brother Vinny. So Vincent couldn't be here tonight because his father died, and our condolences are with Vince and his family, and we hope the best for them.
Yeah, we love you, brother, man.
Yeah, so sorry to hear, man. That's terrible.
Yeah, it's always a hard thing to go through. I don't know about you guys, but you know, I lost my dad, but he lived a long life, and he lived a great life. Both my parents did, and but it's still a hard thing to go through.
So tough.
It's
Yeah,
a tough deal.
Yep.
You know, it for a guy, it's like, okay, you're the man now. You know, you don't have anybody to fall back on. You know, so it's like, it's tough.
Well, our hearts are with D'Alessandros. So
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And Gene, Mean Gene, dude, we haven't seen you. You're looking handsome tonight. I wish everybody could see your face. You know, if you guys don't know Gene, there's something wrong with you. But Gene is one of those guys you just gravitate to, and that you know he's just a solid guy as soon as you meet him. It's just
absolutely
the vibe you get right from the get go.
Oh man, you're gonna make me blush.
Yeah.
I'm just that guy, man. I just like to work on cars and help people out.
Yeah, but you're a good dude, man. I really appreciate you in every form, everything that you do. It's just goodness.
And you kind of got your hands in quite a few different things there, don't you, Gene? Not only do you got your retail shop.
Yes.
You've got the PDR marketing.
Yes.
And what else are you doing?
Hitting the PDR marketing pretty hard at the right now. We were just myself and a gentleman named Michael Short just spoke at the Hail Expo. We are in the middle of a 4-week training that we signed up some techs for to sort of get their marketing dialed in and revved up for hail season. We've been taking a little bit of a hiatus from the Marketing Minute podcast. Just haven't been feeling it, and if I don't feel like I can provide some value, I'm not gonna get on and talk just for the sake of talking.
Yeah.
And we are actually, today is 1 year exactly since we received our occupancy permit for our shop. So
nice.
just realized that right now. So happy 1 year anniversary to the shop. And I wasn't there today. I was mobile all day.
Congrats, man. That's cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Well, we invited Gene on because for those of you, if you follow the Mobile Tech page and our webinar, Gene and I started discussing a huge repair that Gene did. And if you're under a rock and have never been on Facebook, then you need to seek out Mr. Fetty, Gene Fetty, and watch the video of this repair. So
we basically wanted to talk about unusual estimates basically tonight. And what do you do when you get an unusual estimates, you know?
Yeah.
Because an unusual estimate usually means that you have the opportunity to make a lot of money if you do it right. Right, Gene?
Absolutely. That's so if you look at the big smash guys, you know, the Sal Contrerases or the Bryce Kellys are out there doing big hits every day. And myself, I don't know that I'm that level of tech, but I certainly enjoy the repair. But even being able to talk about them or sell them or justify them to your client or to the insurance company it's definitely a different set of skills.
Yeah.
It's not a, hey, here's your $100 door ding or your $200 door ding. I mean, we're talking thousands of dollars to make these cars happen. It's more like working a hail claim than
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. You're up into hail dollars ultimately, but you're not doing a full hail job. I mean, your case, this was a Ram Crew Cab 1500. Looked like short box.
Yes.
And it was a deer hit. Started in the front fender, spun the deer around, hit the front door, the back door, and the entire box side. So, I mean, you're talking, 22 feet of damage?
It was huge. It was the, prior to this, my biggest repair was a 2010 or 11 Camaro that was the whole quarter panel and the whole fender. So this was our largest size-wise repair ever, and they were both dark blue. Like, can't I get something on white?
So you wrote this all up in Mobile Tech. Now, I don't want to toot my own horn in here, but we actually, I just got done editing a video. We're going to link it here onto the PDR Tool Time, and there's a whole video where Gene kind of talks about how he did it. And you use the tactical dent guide inside of Price a Dent, and you used more of a square inch calculation.
Right. So normally I'm a Paul Corden price guide guy, right? It fits 99.9% of everything I need to write. When we got into this job, the first limitation I ran into is it stops at, I believe, 30 inches. And we just said 22 feet of damage. So
22 feet.
Right. Where's the markup from feet to inches, I guess. Yeah. So we started getting in there. It just didn't work. And then I think even when we started looking at the crease options, which will give you your longest measurements inside of Mobile Tech RX, what did we come up with, John? What was it, like $13,000 to fix that side?
Yeah. I mean, it was a ridiculous amount. By the time you went up to 60 inch, I think is how far.
Well, I think so. I think 60 inches is 3,100.
Yeah.
And then we did some math and worked out the math on the bedside, but
trying to figure it up, and yeah, the number was truly outrageous. And here's the thing about the dent that Gene did. Was that the deer? I always call these a soft body hit. As an old body guy, we did lots and lots of deer hits here in South Dakota. So they're a soft body hit. It's not like hitting a guardrail. There's not a lot of paint damage. It's soft, but it covers a lot of territory. But these aren't monsterly deep. This isn't the outside skins touching the inside, but it leaves a compression buckle along the whole outer perimeter. So you're looking at area of affected metal. In the case of your back door, it was 42 inches long.
Yeah, right.
Length of that back door.
Yeah.
And just so people understand, what happens is one dent affects the other dent. You start pushing on one side, it affects the other side. And what I end up doing is usually having to rough out all the areas, trying to get some rigidity in the whole panel so it will move the way you want to move. It ends up looking pretty ugly at first for me, is how I usually approach it. I don't know if you do the same thing. Yeah,
where was your start point? So let's use the back door. The front door, the most of the damage was at the back of it.
Yeah.
But the back door, it kind of caved in the whole thing. So you actually had a bit of a line from the pinch weld on both sides. So how did you approach that on pushing it? Do you start on the outside so that it stabilizes the center area?
Dry ice with a big suction. I was happy that it was a Ram. Those have a carrier plate. So
what kind of car was this again?
A 15 Ram.
Yeah,
the full
Ram 1500.
The quad cab, so the full size 4 doors.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So we totally gutted it. Pulled the glass, pulled the carrier plate up on the hood stand to work it.
And that gives you a big wide opening on that.
Yeah. So I'm going to throw a tech tip here early for the podcast listeners. So to get leverage inside of that big open cavity, I took a 35 light dent dial and sort of put it across the opening inside. and then I took the tactical head from John with the brass ball and hung that down, and I had this sliding bar to leverage off of through the
That's
whole
a good idea.
cavity.
Sweet.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah.
It worked perfect.
That's pretty tricky.
So on that back door, I started on the back side. That had the deepest, widest part of the damage. So it was, I think it was 17 inches tall and maybe 8 inches wide, give or take. So I started back there, but just like you were saying, Daniel, I needed to get metal up to start stabilizing everything. Started on the back side, brought that up, used some glue, moved to the other side, brought that up and got it to stabilize. And then once it was all up, that's when I started to attack the buckle that followed the intrusion beam.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you that Peter's VIP knockdown, the new one with that weird shaped head.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that thing amazing?
Wow. Like, I got done tapping the buckle down, and I was like, "Are you serious?" Like, I was sweating that part of the repair more than anything else on the whole side of the truck, and that knockdown head just, wow, did it lay the metal down quick and flat and clean.
Yeah, that thing it's a must on my list for everybody to buy. You know?
Yeah, definitely. Even Peter can't believe how well it works. I just saw him at the Hail Expo, and I'm like, dude, this thing was great. He's like, Gene, I can't tell you because I can't believe how good this thing works. So
yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah, definitely order that tip for sure. And then it was lots of back and forth using a big fat headlight and, getting it way far away to get a good clean reflection. And then, gently working down that where it pushes in the stamp line where the two panels, inner and outer skins, come together.
Yeah.
Lots of finesse work in there to finish it out.
So I posted the basically I called it Estimating Extreme Damage by Gene Fetty. I posted the video of that. That's everything that Gene sent me, and then I edited it around, and it is now on the PDR Tool Time Facebook page.
Now, so this customer comes into you, tells you what's happening, right? Mm-hmm. And the first question out of your mouth is, you're going to turn this into insurance, correct?
So he actually was a referral from a body man.
Okay.
That was impressed with our paintless skills, which is always cool.
That's
right?
a bonus.
They're like, yeah, you need to go see this guy. So he actually reached out to me on Messenger, and I asked for some photos, and he sent them in, and I sort of immediately pushed him towards an insurance claim. I said, listen, you're, without even coming to look at the truck or anything like that, you're in the multi-$1,000 range, and it's a deer hit. It doesn't make any sense to pay out of pocket. It doesn't count against you.
And did you have to sell him on paintless over conventional?
So a tactic that I like to use when I'm selling to customers is that sort of that third party proof, or let something else talk for you, right? I can sit here and tell you that I'm an awesome tech,
right?
And that just makes me a pompous guy,
right?
If I can show you some referrals or some reviews or something like that, it's a different story. So on my YouTube channel, I sent him my Camaro video that we just talked about, and
that was a phenomenal smash. That quarter panel was rough. That was ugly.
Man, there was a lot of metal moved.
That was.
Oh yeah, that was another 16 hours into that car, which is a long time to work on two panels. So I sent him those videos, and he was sort of sold right out. Oh, the other was a F-150 door hit that was from a deer. So I sent him those two videos. He was done after that. Like, there was no question that if I said we can fix his truck, that I'm the guy to fix his truck. It didn't matter what anybody else said.
Yeah. And then you have the second fight, which is the insurance company and dealing with them, correct?
Yeah, so the only fight or pushback we had from the insurance company was he went ahead and filed his claim, and the adjuster came out and he said, well, I'm going to have this done paintless. And this adjuster's like, nobody can fix this paintless. I've seen it done, and they just can't. They can't fix this kind of damage.
Those are the best,
right? So he called me up and he's like, "Hey, they wrote me an estimate for, I don't know, $2,600 or something." I said, "Well, that sounds light, even conventional. Either way, that's a light estimate." I said, "But it's no big deal. They always write low, and we'll just work through the supplement process."
So, how much was your estimate?
So, by the book. So I'm going to give a disclaimer here, right? The price guide, any price guide, whether you've made your own or using Paul Corden or the Tactical Dent Tech, whatever, are simply guides. So when we did a guided estimate, and you can watch that tutorial on Mobile Techs, I actually came in at $6,700 for the sake of round numbers.
Yeah.
What we ran into writing this estimate was the sheer size of the damage. You know, it's great to equate everything by the inch or even by the square inch, but when you get into extremely large repairable damage, some of those numbers become unrealistic.
Okay, your estimate was how much?
6,700.
And the conventional was 26,000.
2,600.
2,600. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, I would definitely fix that truck for 26,000.
Yeah. Okay.
I would have
My mistake.
flown out. I would have driven out.
Listen, I think I could have flown Bryce in for one panel and fly Stalin for another. Maybe bring Kaz in for the bedside and still put 10 grand in my pocket. No, so the original estimate from the insurance company was like $2,600 or $2,700.
Okay.
Admittedly, the guy looked at it when it was dirty. The customer told him he was going to go paintless instead of conventional, and these adjusters just don't run into, for the most part, technicians writing big complex estimates like this for a paintless repair.
Well, honestly, writing it overall is just it's not that common in our industry, to write out something of the magnitude of this. So to try to put realistic numbers on it, other than just running around going, I want replacement, I want replacement, I want replacement, and no way to justify that beyond looking at it and going, it's ugly.
Right. Right.
And really what you had described and what we put into that video really explains out, kind of turning it into a square inch formula where you measure everything, punch it all in, and it produced numbers that were easily, when you viewed it and the breakdown, you easily understood how you got to close to conventional cost on every single panel,
right? Without
just going, I want conventional cost, or, well, I backed 100 off. Well, you didn't. You had it all measured out. It was X by X with these multipliers involved, or in this case, on some of them, they were included, and once you put it all in there, it's kind of tough to look at it and go, well, he doesn't know what he's doing.
Right. Right. That makes a huge difference. So when you can present an insurance adjuster, even more so than just a regular client, but certainly this would apply to a client too. When you can present to them a detailed professional estimate, things make sense, right?
Yes.
You go to a body shop for this deer hit, right? They don't come out and say, well, Mr. Grom, you're looking at $6,694.83. They say, here it is, and here's your 10-page dissertation on how we got there.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just, or they can't walk out and say, I don't know, like $6,000. Does that sound good? Right? No, here's a 10-page dissertation on how we got there. So when we can use a tool like Mobile Tech RX to come in and give a dissertation on how we got there, it makes the whole process, one, more professional, two, justifiable, and three, sellable.
Yeah.
And the point here with this whole thing is if more guys more techs out there doing what you just did, educating the adjusters. They're going to go with us more often than the body shops a lot of times because they get it done faster.
Yeah. So the original adjuster who wrote the field estimate, and I don't fault him for writing what he wrote. I called him up and I said, hey, we need to schedule a reinspect or schedule a supplement, I think is how I worded it, for this gentleman's truck when he drops it off to minimize time. And he goes, well, he said he was going to go paintless. I said, well, I'm a paintless shop. He goes, you can't fix that. So yeah, I can. I said, I promise I wouldn't be wasting your time or mine if I didn't think I had a shot at fixing this. And he goes, well, we're going to have to take refinish time off of this. I said, there's nobody in the world that's going to fix this truck for simply body repair time. I just want to reinspect. Let's send an adjuster out. Let's go over this thing together. And he's totally doesn't believe that we can fix this truck. Thank goodness it wasn't his territory where my shop sits, and I get the nicest adjuster ever. So he came in, we went over the truck. Long story short, when we got it all done, called to let him know that we delivered it. And he's like, man, because that's done already. I said, well, yeah. Because that was like 2.5 weeks at the body shop. It's 5 hours a day. And I think there were 56 hours of repair time. I said, no, we're done. It's delivered. He took it home yesterday. He goes, I've already talked to the other adjuster who didn't think you could do it. He goes, I talked to my supervisor. He goes, just the rental savings alone, we need to send more cars to you. I said, well, I like how you think. Right.
Plus, don't they get a bonus for like cycle time?
Yeah. So all insurance companies are big on cycle time. This was a Progressive claim, and they like live and die
for cycle
time. Right. Yep.
And explain what cycle time is for guys that don't know.
John, I'm going to let you answer that because you probably have a better definition.
Yeah, John is better.
Yeah, I've been out of it for a long time. But what it is when Progressive now, again, I've been out of the body shop for a very, very long time. So when Progressive comes in and writes stuff at their body shops, they are putting almost a hard deadline on when that finished repair should be, and the customer should be back into it. Now, when I had my shop, they normally would do 2, 3, 4 days, depending on a simple deer hit. I had a shop in rural South Dakota, and they would apply those rules to my shop. I couldn't even get the parts inside of 2 weeks ever. It wasn't even possible. The parts couldn't be shipped to me in that time frame. So the cycle time on that, because they're paying that rental, and they have an agreement with the rental companies that they're going to turn over X number of cars. And so they have got to get the car into the shop and out of the shop in that exact hard deadline. And we've all repaired cars. There's no such thing as a hard deadline in fixing cars.
No.
Now, the only companies that can ever truly meet that and deliver a full, clean repair is going to be just like what you did, Gene. You did that in the same time frame that they would have told the body shop they would have had to do it in, and like the adjuster even admitted, that would have been 2 weeks.
Yeah, so the equation I've heard is they allow about 4 to 6, but 5 hours is a good number. So 5 hours of repair time on a vehicle Monday through Friday. So every 25 hours of repair time is 1 week. They don't count weekends. And again, so in this particular truck, it was 56 hours. So that is 11. That's 11 days. That's into the 12th day because you go that extra hour.
I've never heard a mathematical equation put on.
Yeah, it's 5 hours per day.
Okay,
that's what they use to figure days in the shop. Yep,
that's interesting. So, 5 hours. Huh.
Yeah. So, guys, there's so much advantages that we can take advantage of in stuff like this. If you know what the insurance company's game plan is, and it works to our advantage, and we need to take advantage of it.
Do watch that video that I posted up, and I put a link. Daniel put a link also in the show notes.
In our show notes, yeah. And
it's on the Tool Time. It's on Mobile Tech. and I sent a copy to Gene. I don't know if you want to put it on your Facebook page or not, but watch that and get an idea of how Gene put that into Mobile Tech RX and into specifically the Tactical Dent Guide, because ultimately the Tactical Dent Guide is the only one that has that square inch calculator.
Yeah, and there was no other way to really get there and make it any kind of logical numbers.
Yeah, and honestly, I've tried to use the flat, the regular, the Paul Corden, any of them when I've done some of them, and then there's times when I was punching in, it was like 15 by 15 or 15 by 20, and it produces a $4,000 price tag on a door, and I'm like, that's not going to work. And so that video does start by showing all the damage and how Gene mapped it out. I included all of that in the video, so you get to see the map out, how he drew it out, and man, I would have had a hell of a time, even being a dent guy, trying to walk in there pretending to be an adjuster with the map. I mean, it was a Louisiana Purchase all the way down the side.
So let me ask you this, Gene. So you're calculating this out on Mobile Tech RX, but you're probably quickly figuring out that you're close to conventional. Then you switch over to the conventional side to see what conventional is.
Right.
At some point, do you just go with the conventional price?
Yeah, so that's my game plan. I'm totally cool with. So there are people in the dent industry and the body shop industry who like to. I think they enjoy the fight. Right, like they want to argue and fight, and I'm
the adjusters you're talking about.
No, I mean even repair shops or so certainly there's adjusters who want to fight, but there are technicians or shop owners that want to fight for everything. Right, I saw somebody post $2,400 and like a 50-page dissertation to change a handle on a Honda Odyssey minivan. Right, and that might be OE procedures, and I'm not faulting them for it.
Yeah, it was actually 74 pages.
Is that how many? Yeah,
74.
You gotta be kidding.
No, it's not.
Procedural.
It's that hard.
For that stupid handle.
Yep.
Is 74 pages long.
Right.
And yeah, you're right. $2,500 to put a friggin' outside handle on a Honda.
Yeah. So, wow. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying I'm not going in for that fight. Right. If I would have had that person write this truck, it might have been the $26,000. We probably would have told.
I would have had it done by the time that thing printed out.
What we want is those guys writing that on the conventional end, because then we can go in and write these things, and right. You'll have all the money onto it. Like Gene, you knew, but if you'd have just tossed out, I want 5 or 6 G's to do this side, everybody been like, justify that. How?
Yeah, why? Why is it $5,000?
Yeah.
Right?
Why is it?
So per the book, you guys can't see my air quotes, but I'm making air quotes here. So per our book, if I apply the price guide, what did I say? We were at $66.99.64 with sales tax. So
so there's no way that you would have ever walked up to that and even come up with that price tag.
No, right. It's just it's.
But also, we should add one thing to that. That Deere did crack the paint on the box side, so correct. There was going to be refinish time on the bedside. So that is something for the audience to keep in mind. Is it wasn't completely paintless. There was cracked paint.
Right, but they were writing to replace the bedside, and so John, South Dakota, you can appreciate what a replaced welded-on panel looks like 3 years down the road with the salt. Daniel, you probably don't run into that so much.
No, I have no idea.
Slightly more temperate climate.
And anymore out here, they use a liquid de-icer, and that's just like a spray-on car dissolver.
Yeah, that's what they have. We use that here too. They pre-treat all the roads. It works great, but it's hard on the metal.
Tough.
So before we went into this, I reached out to the body man that referred the job, got a quote for a no repair, basically refinish on the bedside. Refinish. I said if I can get you to a no filler repair, where do you need to be? And he gave me a quote.
So I mean, you're working the dent out, and they're gonna just
yeah. So the paint, so the outer structure on those, they have like a square inner wheel well. The outer structure came in and kissed it, and put like a 1-inch crack, and then just on the edge of the wheel lip, it split there as well. So it's simply a sanded.
Couldn't talk him into touching it up, huh?
I tried. In fact, I touched it up before he picked it up. And if it was my truck, there's no way I'm painting the side of the bed for what's essentially a big chip. He still wanted to paint the bedside, which is fine with me. It's his truck. He has to look at it every day. I don't.
Yeah.
So I knew right there was going to be paint work. You guys need to know what your body shop market is like, right? So I even referenced or reached out to some of my body shops to see, hey, are you guys going to repair this bedside? Is this a replacement? What are we going to do in these? Or, how would you rate these doors? So I had ammunition to walk into with the adjuster, and that's why I got him to write for a new bedside. At the end of the day, the number I had in my head from, we've all been in the business long enough to look at a repair and say, I want X to fix this. $5,000 was the number I had in my head to fix the side of the truck. But I can't just come out and say that, right? Give me $5,000 and we'll call it good. The adjuster went through, and John, I want to touch on this with you after I get done with this story and see if you have any input from the body shop side. So we went through, and the front fender, I think we were at $600 or $650. He's like, wow, we can put a fender on it for less. And then we worked through that and landed at, like $550. And we just worked our way back the truck with, are you putting a door skin on it? Or are you going to repair it? How many hours? He ended up coming in a little over $4,700. So at the end of the day, we were a couple $100 away from my ideal happy number, and made it work.
Yeah.
And how many hours did you have into it in actual time?
So we had the truck for 4 days. I had about 3 solid days of repair time in it, and then some R&I time with my trainee. It was a great experience for him to pull carrier plates out and remove glass and car, and I was there working and able to give him a hand.
Ultimately, every aspect of a job like this is like the single greatest schooling you can ever get, all the way from estimating, because you learned a lot about writing monster damage doing this. You also learned a lot about yourself and repairing. I mean, when you talk about 3 days, and guys think about 3 days on a hail car, that ain't that big deal. This is 3 days on 4 panels.
Right. And really that fender was light. Like it was damage. I don't know that it was a whole lot different than the other fender, but the customer specifically pointed out, hey, this is buckled here and I want that fixed.
Yeah.
If he didn't, I may have let that fender slide.
And the fenders on those trucks aren't easy. Did they have the plastic flares on them?
They did not have flares, but we did do a full removal of the wheel liner. They do have that. It's like 16 or 18 inches long, heavy, thick sound deadener that sits right in the flat part of the fender.
Yeah,
and not a whole lot of fun.
Does that have a metal liner as well, or no? No. Okay.
No, that's the GM has the metal liner.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's still not an easy fender.
No,
not with the buckle up high. If it would have all stayed down low, it would have been super simple.
You don't really have multiple angles to work on that thing. So you're working
not on the fender
real well.
Well, did you take the front door off?
We did.
Okay. Now a lot of times, I'll take both doors off on the side of a pickup, especially if I know both doors are coming off on the stand. I'll take both doors off before I ever do the fender, and talk about it, the ultimate access from the back of the fender.
Oh, right. Yeah.
To shoot through. Now, not all of them, like a lot of GMs are still solid, and some of the Rams are, some of them are wide open, but it's man, when you have the door off and you can sit right there on the door sill and you can just look straight down at the damage. I I almost take doors off just to do really bad fenders.
I've heard a lot of guys doing that. I think I need to start doing that more often.
Yeah, I need to get one of those door hoists.
Yeah, so that I shared a video in Tool Time of our door hoist, and that was on that particular truck.
You have one, huh?
Yeah, man, it's under $300. Oh, worth every penny.
That's the only way to take doors on and off.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, especially if you're a one-man guy.
Yes,
right.
Yeah, I've taken a lot of doors off all by myself, and tell you, the older I get, the less I look forward to even doing that sort of
right, it's not stuff. A whole lot of fun.
Well, most dent guys they hate taking apart anything.
Right.
It doesn't bother me to take them all apart, but I'm started in a body shop. Guy. Yeah, I started in a body shop when I was 16, so I was that was my job early on, was to take cars apart.
That's probably the best lesson I've ever learned is, because I do a lot of body shops, and my excuse is, hey, can your guy take that apart? Because I don't want to break the clips. I want your guys to break the clips is my excuse. and then I watched them, and I've learned a lot by watching these guys over the years doing that. And they're fast. They're super fast.
And fast teardown guy is.
And it's made me faster. It's made me work like that. Oh, you just tear into it.
But having a panel wide open where the only thing you have is just you and the metal, no obstacles, just a wide open area to work. It makes things so great. Well, in your case, like you figured out, Gene, it's so wide open you can throw a cat through that thing.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah, you built a bridge. Now I used a 2x4. I apparently need to step up my game a lot here, because it's like, man, you built the perfect sliding between the dent dial and the tactical head. That's great. A lot of unrestricted movement, but yet a solid mount for your tool to push out that damage.
Yeah, that worked. That did work really well. Yeah, without a doubt. So, John, I would love to get a body man's perspective here, or body man's.
We're gonna have to find one
to a dent tech when these adjusters come in and they're talking about everything in repair time, right? Oh, I think we can put 6 hours on that, and then you've got to quickly do the math. So 6 hours at 50 an hour is $300. What arguments can we use as PDR techs to ask for more hours? Because they are always too low on the hours. Always.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but what, or are there tools out there we can use?
There isn't really a tool. I mean, a lot of what was trained, ironically, I saw this actually across Facebook the other day, was talking about, an open hand or two open hands is like a measurement of either 1 or 2 hours. And it was crazy. I still heard that. That was what I heard, 28 years ago when I first started. But, you saying that, and coming up with the hours is kind of like us looking at a dent and going $300. They try to say that, the size of an open hand should be 2 or 3 hours worth of time by the time you block and you sand everything. And it's like, okay, but by the time you move that metal out, I once had the side of a Suburban and I absolutely did not want to PDR this thing. It was just crushed. It was ugly. And the body man is sitting there and the estimator is there and the adjuster is dealing with me. And I'm like, these knuckleheads are going to screw up my money. And I'm like, there's no way I'm letting them put hours on this thing. You guys just shut up and go over there, go play cards or something. And the adjuster's like, what are you thinking on time on this thing? Because we were replacing the roof, we replaced the hood, and I PDR'd everything else, but I wasn't touching this quarter panel. And I'm like, I need 30 hours on this quarter panel. And the body man stands over there and his jaw drops. And I'm like, I hope this adjuster doesn't see his jaw, and the estimator is just like, ooh, and turns around and walks away, because he was waiting for the fight. And the adjuster just looks at me and I'm just staring at him. Didn't say a word. I just said, I need 30 hours on this.
Cold, the John Cold stare.
I'm not even a body man. I'm just like, that quarter panel needs 30 hours. And he looks at me and
says,
okay.
You need to practice that in the mirror.
Yeah, and actually, it goes back to a selling your services book that I read decades ago. Actually, when I first started into PDR, and it was "He who speaks last loses," and I've used it quite a bit. But when it comes to hours and negotiating a judgment item such as hours, and I just straight up told him what it was going to take, and just stared at him and waited. And the only response he really had was, okay. I mean, the thing was hideous. It was ugly as hell. And ironically, it had to be painted twice because the body repair wasn't perfect on it. Which is something that we as PDR professionals, really go out of our way and strive to do. So when I have an adjuster looking at one of these and we're comparing big dents, now keep in mind though, Gene, I was a hail guy.
Right.
So my big dents were mostly cash jobs, but the insurance ones that I did deal with the adjusters, I'm like, really, you want to do 3 hours onto that panel there, except the damage goes from here to here. And when you map it out, the same way you mapped out your truck, and ultimately that's what kills every counter argument. Mapping it out, the panel was clean, you marked the extremes, all the ends, top, bottom, where it is, you had body line affected, and it's like, oh, once we're into a body line, really, you're gonna charge the same amount if the dent's in the center of the door as though it's going through the body line, but the body man that has to rebuild that body line's got to go through 10 times as much work. That should be like a 10-hour dent. And so that's how I've just used those very same tactics that we use for hail for every other dent. Map out everything that you have, make it clear, take away all the counter arguments, because if he's looking at it and he says 3 hours and I tell him he has to justify that, he's only justification is it saves my company money, and that's it. Where when you draw it out, the intrusion beam is right here, we've got this ripple right here, we've got a hard line here, we have a crease here, we've got a crown here that needs to be worked. We've explained every bit of our reasoning behind the dollars that we charged, and then how you show in the video how you put it inside Mobile Tech RX so that it reads out exactly the same way you mapped out. You had a full repair. You didn't have an estimate, ultimately. You had a complete repair plan that somebody else had to argue against.
Yeah, so that's verbiage I picked up at the Hail Expo, and I'm glad you just brought it up. Guys, start thinking about that. We're not creating estimates. We're creating a repair plan for the vehicle. Map out the whole process, start to finish. And that carries, words matter, right? As Keith Costantino likes to say, yeah. Words matter. So instead of an estimate, like, I think it's going to be this much to fix it, I don't know. No, sir, here's your 10-page dissertation on my repair plan for your client's vehicle, right?
Yeah. Yep. All this stuff is coming apart. We expect, on this particular model, if I know that door clips are going to break, then I automatically put on the 2 or 3 door clips. I don't wait till afterwards or see. If I break 4, then I eat the 4th one. And if I only broke 2, then that's the one that pays for the next one, But I have a full repair plan, and then somebody has to come in and argue against your plan when they don't have a plan. They had nothing. They're coming into it with just going, how am I going to save my company money? Or how am I going to work with this guy and justify it, because I don't want to get my butt chewed by my supervisor.
Right.
And basically our argument is, hey, we're going to save you cycle time. You're not going to have that rental car out for days, and let's break this down. But basically, you've just educated that adjuster. You've saved them money against a conventional job. I don't care which way you slice it, you're going to save them.
It was a huge thing.
And once you do that, they're going to send you more business, and you're doing our industry good because you're setting up for the next guy that might get that adjuster.
Yeah. So I do have to put this out there, right? Everybody. So we're in internet land here, right? And there's Facebook prices and everything. Yeah. Listen, if you're going to step up and offer this level of repair to the general public and through insurance companies, you have to be a good enough technician to pull it off. Right?
Yes. You can't really stress that enough.
No, I can't. Right. This is not. So let's paint the scenario that I do this and the whole thing's bad and I hack it up. Neither of those adjusters are ever going to accept a paintless repair estimate again.
You really
as well as every body shop would smack talk you for eternity.
Absolutely.
So you would be fighting two industries. We already fight against the body shops and everything else, but you'd have been really fighting against the body shops and against the insurance industry saying, nope, anytime, just like that adjuster come in, you can't fix that. Well, you proved everybody wrong by doing it and doing it right. And yeah, you have to go through the workload.
Right. And so we arranged the paintwork to be done on the bedside as with the customer and his shop of choice. That was taken care of. Corrosion protection applied everywhere we worked.
Everywhere.
All of the R&I we asked for, we did. Pre and post scans, all the codes cleared, saved, and documented. You have to be, if you're going to play in this arena, right? It's great to say, hey, let's rate this smash and make $4,000, right? You have to do it properly. If we're going to be a real professional industry and move away from just door dings and hail, and I really think that this kind of work is sort of the next frontier, you have to be professional in how you do it. I can't stress that enough.
Yep. Yeah, you can't shortcut it. You can't shortcut it. It just doesn't work. So,
and it's fine if you don't want to be in that arena, you know.
No,
absolutely.
You know, it's if you want to be.
Well, a lot of guys don't want to stare at a single panel for that length of time. I mean, if you think about it, you had 24 hours into fixing 4 panels. That's a lot of hours of just staring at a single panel, you know.
Right. And probably half of that time was the bedside. Like,
I can believe that.
A solid at least 12 hours into repairing the bedside. That's 12 hours on one panel.
One panel. And you're working it from every angle, you know. You had a little crink in your neck after 12 hours of staring at something sideways like that.
Right.
So,
were you using a carbon rod through the taillight?
No, I actually did not use the carbon rod through the taillight at all.
Why not? Why not?
Didn't need that reach, actually.
Okay. You did a lot from the top on that one, didn't you?
Yeah, so from the top was great. And then when you pull the wheel liner out, there's a ton of access there. And a lot of the time was spent, if you go back and reference the video, looking at the wheel well from like 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. The left side of the wheel well was brutal. And that was all glue pull and whale tail to get down in there.
Yeah, the bulk of the damage was behind the wheel well. You had a good ripple. You did a lot of glue work on the front, right?
Yeah, up high was glue work.
Yeah.
Lots of blending on the high spots where it came in and kissed the inner structure.
Were you using any other methods like hot box or PDR box?
No power PDR box, and I did not hot box on that car at all. That just didn't need it. Lots and lots of blending, right? Like, not necessarily blending, but long reach out with the crown work.
Yeah,
just getting that metal to move back out.
I think the one other thing that we should mention was the intrusion beams were unaffected by this, and that's where I was also bringing up about that soft body damage. They generally do not push in that intrusion beam, but if there had been intrusion beam damage, you'd have just passed on the repair, right?
Yeah, we always check that first, right? So being a big smash guy, when a car rolls in, the first thing we look at is obvious intrusion beam movement. I am even hesitant to work on anything if the say the door jamb of the door, the inner part of the door, if that's affected, that really feels structural to me, and I point them to a body shop and recommend panel replacement. No money is worth somebody's safety.
Right. Yeah. Right. So check around. The easiest way to tell on that is when you open the door and you look inside the jam, look for those spot welds around the midway point, and that's where the intrusion beam is. If there's any deformed metal, cracks in the paint right there, walk away.
Yep, absolutely. That's a 100% rule for us. We don't even I'm just trading the car in, or nope. You have to think about who's in that car next when you sell it, or look at that John Eagle lawsuit where it was
Exactly.
the next
that
person
wasn't the people that owned the car. Yeah,
nope,
that's right.
Nope.
It was sold down the road.
Yeah. No, we do not play around with that. That's a safety issue, not a cosmetic issue.
Yeah.
Well, this was freaking awesome. We picked this subject, and I didn't think we'd be going this long on it, and it was fantastic. But we are coming close to the end here, and we were going to talk about some other things, but I don't think we have time. But I'm so grateful for you, Gene, for coming on and
well, thank you guys for having me come on, and again, thoughts and prayers to Vince and his family.
Absolutely.
But,
sure.
I really enjoyed this, and if anybody wants to get on and discuss, large damage estimating or practices, man, I love nerding out on this stuff. So
yeah,
I do too. I could talk about it for way too long.
Yeah, me too.
That's what I hope to do. I'm actually getting everything cleaned out so that I can start re-upping my PDR game, and I'm just going to do Big Smash. I want to do the fun stuff. I really enjoy it, and I don't have time to be on the hail trail. So
I used to be scared of it. I just didn't want it to deal with insurance companies because it takes so much time sometimes. But the more and more I do, and now I've gotten relationships. Like I've got my AAA guy. He purposely sends me work, and it's awesome. And I don't get any pushback from him now. Just like,
and we got some of the greatest tools ever. Now is like the king of the tool time to do these big smashes. You read on Facebook, everybody, it's so hard on your body. Don't do that, man. Look at the glues that we have, the pulling power that we have. We got all these great things that we can just crank over a jack, attach it to the door, pull out some bolts, and walk away with the door.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it's the greatest time to do big smashes.
There's 2 new tools coming out soon. Hopefully they'll be ready for Anson, but for a truck bed, there's a new tool that I've been helping somebody work on, and I saw the prototype yesterday. I'm super excited about it.
I always thought that, man, if I could ever pull a box and roll it up sideways, that would be the bomb for doing a big bedside.
That would be awesome. Right.
I mean, I have a gantry crane and my old bed lifter still from my body shop days because my wife could not carry her half of an 8-foot pickup box. I mean, she was just weenie out. Yeah, I know. Just couldn't pick it up and walk it off. So I used to use a cherry picker to pull off all my bedsides. And then if you've ever used a gantry crane, and I still have all my box lifters, they go right inside the bed, you stick them up, and then you just pick the box straight up and walk backwards with it. I mean, it is effortless. And then it was like, man, if you rolled one up, just think about that. You would be sitting on plane working from the bottom of the opening.
That would be awesome.
Now, you'd have to have your quick bench running the length, but...
yeah, right.
I work on truck beds at body shops all the time where they pull it off. But the problem is they put it on these holders.
The rolling dollies.
Right. They don't stay still.
And they won't stay still, and they're moving, and it sucks.
So what I do, I love having them off like that because on some of the older models, they had some actual factory holes in the front.
Yeah.
So those are pretty cool. But a lot of the shops around here still have the floor pots. If you know what those are, you pop them out, they got the chain into them. So then I take a motorcycle ratcheting strap on both ends of the bed, and I ratchet it right to the floor.
Oh, nice. So it's rock solid.
That thing is rock solid. Most comfort level. But, man, rolling it up and just being able to stand straight on like you were doing a hood.
Oh, that would be that's a game changer for doing doors, right? When I think it took me 11 years to pull my first door off. Now, I'm with you. Pull the door off.
Really?
Right? That bad boy's going on the old A1 hood stand, and you're going to town.
I started doing PDR, and I was like, that door's coming off. And Chad, the man that trained me, was like, nobody ever says that. Like, that door's coming off.
Yeah. Yeah, when I took my first door off, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like I worked like this for 6 hours on that door. Could have been done in 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So much faster and so much more comfortable. But.
Absolutely.
Well, all right. Guys. Well, once again, Gene, I really appreciate you coming on. You and I could talk about that truck for days. I know we could. We could talk about it for more time than you spent fixing it.
Yeah, I'm sure we could, for sure. Well, John and Daniel, thank you guys for having me on. I really, really appreciate the opportunity.
We appreciate you, man. All right, guys. John, let's take us out.
All right. Don't do stupid stuff.
And level up your tools.
This has been another episode of PBR Tool Time.